That's right. Coming to you from Alameda, California, as well as the Central Valley in California. Wow, that's kind of crazy. From Lathrop 1, L1 Studios, we got Zig in the Zone.
Wow. Only you're a genius with this shit.
I don't know. I played your intro kind of like 1.5 times. I had to bring you back in, but we're talking. It's happening.
We're happening, and I'm the wandering Jew in Alameda. Um, I just want to, before we start and get into it, I just want to give you an official thank you for a year's worth of pleasure doing this, and it has been a year, and it's scary how time flies, but time flies when you're having fun, and this show is the most fun I get, sadly enough, or I've gotten in this year. This has been a horrible year. Um, for a
It's been
number
a
of
tough year.
reasons.
It's been a tough year for you, right? And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's been an adjustment not being with Tally,
right,
and the good, bad, and the ugly. We took each other back to the pound.
right.
So, and
What did wait? Louis C.K. said I rescued a dog last year, and then he bit everybody. Right? I guess the dog bit everybody. And so he said. Then he said, I unrescued the dog. So, I once in a while I feel like an unrescued dog, but I've been rescued. I have a very compassionate caregiver, my wife. So,
I I envy you. Believe me.
oh, I do. I envy me too. Wait, hold on. How does that work? But I have a good life.
uh,
I have a beautiful life. Most people would say, "Oh, I'm blessed. I'm blessed." If that's
well,
if that's your if that's
I'm
your
blessed with memories
right,
of life, and that in itself is a blessing. And I get a lot of time alone, which is really cool.
right, right.
I have to say. Hey, I don't know if you knew Lenny Randall. He was a baseball player and a fascinating character. Lenny and I did some shows, a number of them, on Comfortably Zoned, and we became very close friends. And we lost Lenny Randall yesterday. He died. Um, very, very sad. 65, which is much too young to go. So I would like to offer condolences to his friends and family, uh, his wife Linda Bradley, who's the daughter of the former mayor of Los Angeles, and she came on the network and did a show with Lenny and I. Um, it's a loss. He happened to be a former New York Met, and it brings back memories of the number of Mets we've lost this year.
Right.
Former Mets, Willie Mays, Jerry Grody, Bud Harrelson. Those three come to mind. And when you're an avid fan, when baseball is everything, the players that are everything, and losing them and losing a piece of you, it's like losing a piece of you.
Right.
So it's been the election notwithstanding, it's been a lousy year.
Right. No. It's been a weird year, and it's one of those years that it's kind of like I can't wait to ring in the new year. Right. It's one of those years that's like hasta la vista 2024. Can't wait to see 2025. It's got to be
Well,
better.
you're an optimist. Some people say, "What is 2025 going to bring?"
Well, no.
So
So we know that politically, 2025 is going to be crazy no matter what side of the fence or aisle you're on, right? We know that.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
but I'm optimistic that we as a people are growing, and even this thing that we're doing with our president this year, this election, uh, he got the popular vote, and not only did he do the electoral college, which I always thought was shitty, and you can manipulate it and you can work it, and he did that well. He's done that both times well, but he also got the popular vote. So I'm one of those people that's saying, hey, peaceful transfer of power. This will all work out. It seems like we always get a crazy president, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, and then someone that's more like you. Because I think every election cycle, people are so fed up from what happened last time, and it doesn't matter if it's Trump, Biden, Obama, whoever it is. It's always, wow, we need to change direction from whatever the hell that was. And so, in 4 years, he won't be able to run again. And hopefully he makes it, well, I don't know. I don't know if hopefully making it through his presidential cycle is a good thing, because I don't want JD Vance in there.
Absolutely not.
I'd rather deal with the monster I know than the monster I don't know. At this point, I mean, again, so I'm optimistic for the world. I'm not really optimistic for politics, because that shit's always screwed. It is. It's always screwed. And so, no, I'm fine. Bring on 2025. 2024 has been a tough year for a lot of ways.
And let's have the folks that are my comfortably zoned family who are seriously ill. Jerry Feidelberg, George Grimm, both have gone through hell in the last year. They both seem to be on the road to recovery. But my oldest friend, Marty, talked about him on our show. He's never been on this show.
Right.
But he's been a member of the Comfortably Zoned family. And he has ALS. And they are attributing it to Agent Orange.
Oh, wow.
He was in the Air Force and served in Vietnam. Now, get this. He went into the Air Force because I was already into the Air Force, and it was just almost a natural progression. There was a war going on, and neither of us would look good in khaki, we thought.
Right.
Well, I was stationed in California, and sure enough, Marty gets stationed. One of his tours of duty was in Vietnam, and that's where he developed Agent Orange. I carry a lot of guilt because I brought him into the Air Force and it ended like this, and that's my problem. I shouldn't carry guilt. I carry a lot of sadness, and he's on hospice at this point, and I only wish that his passing is as easy as possible for him.
Right. And his family,
oh yeah, he has two daughters, a lovely wife, two daughters, and a grandchild who's 4 or 5, and will miss him terribly, as his friends will, all of us. So there you go. On that note, I think we've covered the misery of life so far.
Well,
So
I
far.
know one thing that's going to be better for people. Well, for some people. What do you think of the thing about Biden pardoning all the people? He pardoned a whole bunch of people that are on like death row, basically.
Oh well, I could see death pardon from being on death row. That's good. Is he pardoning people, the Republicans who?
No, so the
Um,
ones that he's and I have to go back. There was I forget what the number of people on death row was. It was literally I have a bad hair day. Um, it was literally I have to go back and look. I almost run and grab my phone, but it was hundreds and hundreds of people. The only ones that he didn't pardon from death row was like the Boston Marathon bomber, a couple like three different ones that were so bad they were like terrorist ones, and you were like, oh okay, all right, I get it.
well,
But he
is he
did everything else
pardoning?
because I guess that he knows that Trump's gonna come in and I guess really start the 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 I don't even know how to phrase this. The death machine. Basically, he's gonna start executions again, and so
Well,
he was trying to stop him from basically getting an assembly line of people. Is my
I'm
understanding.
wondering
Is my
why.
understanding.
I'm wondering why Mike Biden is pardoning these people. If he's pardoning them because capital punishment is wrong, I
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
understand
That's
that.
what he's doing. He's not letting them out of jail. Nobody's getting out, but he's getting them off death row. He's basically taking away their. He's making giving them life in prison.
Well, that I understand, but he's doing it, from what you say, selectively.
Well,
So,
he basically did a broad sweep of everybody who was on death row and said everybody except for I think he reviewed every case and said, okay, what did this person do? And let me see. Hold on.
what you doing,
If
Paul?
I'm looking up the facts really quick. I'm sorry. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So
Just don't step on the gum, you get it on your shoe. That's the problem.
right. And so let me read the statement from the White House Gov. Fact sheet. President Biden commutes sentences of 37 individuals on death row. Today, President Biden announced that he is commuting the sentences of 37 individuals on federal death row. Those individuals will have their sentences reclassified from execution to life without the possibility of parole. Biden has dedicated his career to reducing violent crime and ensuring a fair and effective justice system. He believes that America must stop the use of the death penalty at a federal level, except of cases of terrorism and hate motivated mass murders, which is why today's actions apply to all but those cases. When President Biden came into office, his administration imposed a moratorium on federal execution, and his actions today will prevent the next administration from carrying out the execution sentences that would not be handed down under current policy and practice. So the ones that he didn't do, hold on. The ones that he didn't do was like the school shooters,
Oh, good.
the Boston bombing people, the two brothers, but the one of them died, and then um, I can't even remember if he commuted because I don't think the Menendez brothers got life. They didn't get death, but basically he did everything except for the ones that just like they just said. Basically, it would be the ones that weren't mass shooting or terrorism or hate crimes. So the hate crimes ones even stayed there. So there was a slew of them. But so, what do you think
This
of that?
makes
What do you
sense
think of
to
that?
anybody but me. I think that all these people who commit these crimes are insane.
Oh yeah. Well,
So,
that's the other thing. I always think that's funny when they always think, oh, well, they're going to use the insanity defense. Yeah,
it's
they
all
killed
insanity. Why
somebody.
are they there?
They killed somebody. That's pretty
Right.
insane.
You gotta
You
be
couldn't talk
fucking
it out. You
crazy.
couldn't avoid the person. You couldn't deal with it with some other way other than killing the person. You're insane.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
that's like, yeah, I got it. And
So
so the
I
ones
just
that,
want
okay,
them
so
all.
the decision leaves 3 federal inmates to face execution. They are Dylan Roof, who carried out the 2015 racist slayings of the 9 black members of the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina. The 2013 Boston Marathon bomber, however you pronounce his name, and Robert Bowers, who fatally shot 11 congregants at Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue. So it's all the mass shooters and terrorist kind of people that he did not pardon. Those people still are on death row. So out of 40, he pardoned 37. And again, they're just being recommitted. They're not. I guess pardon is the wrong word. Recommitted. Basically, they're being resentenced. They're being
Taking them
resentenced
off
from.
death row. Right.
Yeah, they're being resentenced from death penalty to life without possibility with parole. So I would like to apologize for the people that are watching us. This is kind of the test podcast. I noticed that we're dropping some frames, but I noticed that we have people watching. So
Huh.
thank you for watching. We appreciate you. The quality only gets better from this studio. The studio goes out a little bit newer. I had to blow dust off stuff.
Well, it's New Year's Eve. Um, we're doing the best we can. How about that?
Right.
And just like in life, all we can do is the best we can do and live with the results.
Right.
I'm convinced of that. Um, I'm also convinced that getting exercise is good for Ralphie. Off the subject a little bit, but I've in the past month or so, for one reason or another, I haven't walked much, and in comparison, and I think I'm gonna do more of that, and that should be good for the new year. I'm not gonna make any resolution because Paulie, what are some of your memories of our shows? Mine in particular was having George Grimm and Peter Golenbach um, on the show. They have both been so good to me. Um, Peter Golenbach did a number of interviews. Every Sunday night we would talk, and our Uncomfortably Zoned, the audio show. And George Grimm co-wrote the book um, that uh, that we wrote together, and it was one of the highlights of my life. We wrote a 500-page contemporary history of baseball based on my podcast over the years with players, managers, coaches, executives, fans. Um, it's been a pleasure being a podcaster, and George Grimm turned it into a book. and just want to thank him. And like I say, having him on this show, um, and Peter Golenbach on this show too. Peter Golenbach wrote a foreword of the book, and he said it was a brilliant effort by both of us. And hey, look, that'll be in the first paragraph of my obituary
There you go.
because he's an icon. Uh, and I don't have a second paragraph that written yet or thought about. I don't do much thinking about my obituary. Funny that way.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. That's probably a good thing, Zig. I'm telling you.
Right? It's I have enough morbid thoughts about the world, so I try to keep the morbid thoughts about my mortality uh, to a minimum. Um, but this has been fun for us. I just want to tell you that, Willie. Not the side that you do a great job and we're a good combination. You doing the technical thing and technically being my sidekick, but it should be Zig and Paulie in the zone. And if you if you're willing to redo the, I'm willing to call it that, and I would be proud to call it that. We'd have to change the intros and stuff like that, but if you want it, go ahead with it because this has been nothing more than a partnership, and I'm proud to have you as my um, technical producer and co-host. So if you want to start that um, with, with the next show, I'm fine with that.
Well, I enjoy hanging out with you in the zone, and it goes without saying that we go together like peanut butter and pickles. No, I mean peanut butter and jelly. And so, and I enjoy hanging out with you. You had the first thing you had asked me because then you started talking about George Grimm. What were some of the memories of this show over the last year? It's probably just meeting all your cool friends and seeing. I'm a people person. I love meeting people. I love getting to know people. There's not been one person all year that I'm like, ugh, let's not do that one again. And so that's a really good track record, my man. I mean, we're on episode 44, 45, 44, 45,
45, I think.
45. And that's a good track record. I did 90 shows with somebody and I liked their guest, but I didn't like them. And so it's kind of hard to be in the room when you don't enjoy what's going out into the ether sphere. In other words, especially if you're producing a show. There's times where I just run the controls and I'm a fly on the wall and you'll never hear me. And then there's other shows where I want to be a part of because it's kind of like an itch. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. And I want to be a part of the conversation. It seems like almost every one of your shows, I want to be a part of the conversation, and I'm welcomed.
And you're an additive. You're not just a part of the conversation.
You're right. I'm not just a wallflower. I'm an active part. You are correct.
Right, but what you say is poignant. It's not just you're talking to be talking.
Right. It's not low-bearing fruit all the time. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not. I usually want to add to the conversation. I want to add to whatever's happening, and yeah, some of it's silly, but hello, that's who I am, right? And so we've known that.
Yeah.
I'm the silly guy. I'm the guy that has Rodney Dangerfield above me and George Carlin over there and everything else. And so,
Hey, tell me,
by
tell
the
me
way,
a
where's
little
my
bit,
office? Where is my office? Here's my office. There's Gallagher.
tell the audience a little bit about your experience with Patrick, Patrick Carlin.
With Patrick Carlin. So I think of Patrick all the time because of um everything. By the way, I'm showing you guys my dirty office right now.
Well,
All right, back.
I've seen the offices that you have in.
Yeah, it's nowhere as dirty as this one. This one's really dirty. I got all of this stuff all over my desk, but I even have here's my, hey, my big ol'. So you were talking about Patrick. This is the pipe I bought for Patrick Carlin, and he never received it because he passed. And so I decided that I was going to start using it. Makes sense, right? Because I wasn't just going to let it sit on a shelf. And it's really pretty. Isn't that nice? But it doesn't go anywhere because it's so big. It's like I almost wanted to get it for him because or got it for him because it's like the Gandorf kind of big old long like wizard pipe. So I think of Patrick a lot. Patrick passed on my birthday a couple years ago, and I think about him frequently. He's one that actually, and I told him before, he passed. I told him multiple times that he would, and he kind of dismissed it. But he's the one that kind of made me look inward towards me and what I was doing and what was happening with me, and kind of saved my life inadvertently. Without even just kind of just hanging out with him and through osmosis and the conversations we had. We talked at least a couple hours every week. We talked on the show. We talked during the middle of the week. We would always talk on like a Wednesday, a Tuesday, or Wednesday or Thursday. And I would sit there and talk to him and Marlene, and we would catch up on stuff that we wouldn't say on the radio. He was pretty cool about everything. I mean, if I was the brother of George Carlin, I think after a while I'd be tired of talking about my brother. But the more I talked to him, the more I realized it was a real joy for him to talk about his brother. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just George Carlin's brother. Everybody really kind of regarded him, Patrick, of being his own guy. And so it was cool that I could have conversations with him, and I would ask him, during the week, hey, is it okay to discuss this on Sunday? And he'd go, yeah, I don't care. I don't think there was ever anything he said I don't want to talk about. The only thing he ever really said is, like, once in a while he would say, I'm not sure, because those years I was in Trinidad, or I was not near him at that point, or whatever. And so there was a couple times where he couldn't answer because he truthfully didn't know. But most of the time he was like, yeah, my life and my brother's life's kind of an open book. And so I think we shared the things that we needed to, that I wanted to share about George. I definitely had endless conversations with Patrick about all the stuff I wanted to talk to. I mean, I miss my friend dearly. I'd love to be talking to him more because there's a lot of stuff happening in my life now that I would love to bounce off someone like him. He really kind of had the more shit that happened. A great example is something that adds a lot of stress to my life, believe it or not, is Trump. And he would laugh at it. He would think that this is all a show. This is all just, it's kind of like what I just said. It's all kind of just politics, and it's all going to change in 4 years. And so he thought it was kind of just something you had to laugh at, what an imbecile the guy was and all the things he did. He didn't get frustrated. He just laughed it off. I don't like it when people hurt themselves or others. And I think he didn't think about that part of the equation. I think he really just thought about if the American people were willing to buy off on it, it's just as much our fault as anyone else's. So I miss Patrick, and and there's a lot of things I would love to talk to him about, but I can almost hear his voice on certain things. He definitely took the high road on a lot of stuff where I would be mad and jealous and pissed off and need to grind an axe. I always speak truth to power. He did that too, but he did it in such a an absurdist kind of way, pretty much like his brother. He did it in a very absurdist way. I do that on stage. Sometimes I'll get sarcastic and be that way, but he was built that way. He was wired that way. He didn't have to condition himself. I guess he spent so many years on this planet. He conditioned
Was he
himself.
older than George?
Yeah, 5 years older.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it passed at 90 or 91. Got to go back and look. But yeah, George would have been 85 or 86. But yeah.
I miss George constantly. I mean, I didn't know Patrick, but I've heard some of the podcasts that you did with him, and he was charming.
Yeah, and I'm closing my window because I have a big old line going through my face. Here, hold on. There we go.
With his podcasting, folks, it's not CNN.
No, it is not.
It's better. It's better.
It's better than CNN. There we go. I'm back.
Technicality is outstanding.
Right.
Um,
And so yeah, what was your comment about him? I'm sorry. You heard a lot of the podcast with him, and you said something in it.
I did, and he had a way of communicating that made me think of his brother all the time.
Yeah, he was very much. They were very much Carlins. They were
Right.
very much of the same era, the same locale, and the same mindset for the most part. I think a lot of
Basically like it or lump it.
right, and I think George definitely did that even more towards the end in his stage. But I think that was his way of having a release. I think he was more crass on stage, but then he can come home and love. He was with a woman at the end that he was deeply in love with, as far as I could tell from the outside. I never knew George Carlin at all. I never talked to the man, never met the man, but I feel that I've met enough of his kin and family and talked to enough of them that I kind of get a real true sense of what he was like. And so, and I'm a Carlin file. It's funny because I would talk to Patrick about certain things and he would quote something and I could tell him exactly what album and what track and everything else. And I could find things quicker on his brother than he could. And so I could definitely tell that the Carlins are definitely a breed apart. That's a way of putting it. And Patrick really kind of let his real self hang out when he talked to us on the air, and you really got a real sense of who that guy was. He was kind of a no punches kind of guy. George, I think, had to at the end really let us all know that he was disappointed with the human race and how much we've fucked up this planet and how much we've screwed over each other. I think he had to put that under a microscope to let us all know that we're not doing the right thing. We need to change. But I think that was the under a microscope kind of guy. He would go home and then he could live his truth. That's one thing with a performer. They can kind of shed light on things that they want to shed light on, and he was kind of showed us a lot about. He held up a mirror to the human condition, I think, is a good way of putting it.
You do comedy. I did comedy at one time, and I can tell you how cathartic it is to stand on stage and say it, because the comedian produces his or her own show.
Right.
It isn't like an actor who's reading lines Uh, no disrespect to that craft,
Right.
but something about a comedian that first of all have the balls to get on stage in front of people in the first place.
So people tell me all the time you're the bravest person, and okay. So it could be being brave. It could also be stupidity.
Well,
Sometimes it's just I don't give a shit. This is what you're getting.
right.
This is me, and that's why a lot of the time people say um, comedy's therapy. For some of it is. For some of us, it is. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on stage and I've told myself, hey, I'm going to not talk about something that just happened in my real life, whatever it is. I just need to do my act, make people laugh, then get off stage and call it a day. But there's been so many times where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to discuss. I just got in an argument with my girlfriend or my wife or my kids or my parents or whatever. And I go and I get on stage, and the first thing I say is, oh, I just got in an argument. And so it's weird. But it's also, yeah, it's cathartic in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think there's some bravery, but there's also there's some inherent thing that some of us comedians, I'll speak for myself in this place, is that it's me. Listen to me. It's me. Pay attention to me. And so there's some of that.
Yeah, we both have something in common. Comedy wise, we both had interactions with Robin Williams. I opened for him at one time at the Holy City Zoo, and um, and you interacted with him on Comedy Day on many occasions. Tell me a Robin Williams story that would make me laugh.
Would make you laugh. Okay, so I'll tell you two brief ones. So the last place I hung out with Robin Williams was called Dirty Tricks, but you know it as the Holy City Zoo. He went back some 35 years later, and he hadn't been in that room, and he went to an open mic that was run by the Sylvan production team, and you can say almost that all of us that night opened up for Robin Williams. So if we were at that open mic and you performed for him, uh, before him, you opened up for him. If you were one of the acts that went on afterwards, he opened for you. And so that was the last time I hung out with him, and he was so cool that he was working on material for an HBO special that never got released because he wasn't here to do it. And so I have a recording of that set, and it's so cool, or at least part of it, because somebody was recording it right behind me, right next to me, and he noticed the one person recording at one point and said, "Oh, please don't do that," or something. But I guess there were so many people in that room, it was packed to the gills. So we went into this place, the Holy City Zoo, aka Dirty Tricks, and it probably, if it's packed to the gills, it holds about 150. And that's really packed. I mean, that's standing room only, and there was probably that many people in there. And so he went up, did his set, came back, talked to the people that he was with, which I was with two people. He was talking to them and us. And then he was also talking to the friend he came with. And we hung out after he did his comedy for about 10-15 minutes. And then he kind of looked at us and said, hey, let's go across and go get something to eat across the street. But we should probably leave now. And his friend goes, oh, yeah, I know what you mean. And I was thinking, oh, is it a good time to leave now because he doesn't want people to follow us and whatever, da 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 da? No, he looked at the number of people. By the way, your mic's doing that thing again. He looked at the number of people that were in the room. He guesstimated how long it would take him if he left the room to interact with each one of those people before he left. So we left the room emptied out. Whoever was on stage, I feel sorry for that individual because he had no audience. We walked out of the room and the entire room emptied out except for maybe the bartender and the person on stage. Everybody followed Robin Williams out to Clement Street and stood there and said, "Oh, you know, nice to meet you. Can we get a selfie?" All those things. And he stood there for 45 minutes, talked to every single person. If you wanted a selfie, he took a selfie with you. If you just wanted to talk to him and say, "Hey, loved you in this movie, loved you in that," he did that. And even at the end, he was like, "Don't you want a picture with me?" And I said, "Of course I do, but you just literally just sat there with 150 people doing this." He goes, "So what? Come here." And so we like did somebody grabbed the camera from me and actually took a photo of us instead of us doing a selfie. And it was his friend, and I can't even remember who his friend was. But then we actually went to go get something to eat, and that was kind of neat. But I ended up having to leave, which kills me because we were in San Francisco. My only ride back to Redwood City was leaving right then and there. And so I ended up walking with them towards the place to eat and then stopped and said bye to everybody. But that was the last time I saw him. The first time I ever met him was at the old Purple Onion. And I hadn't met him at that point, and we were in line for a show, Christine and I, and this is when Christine was my girlfriend and not my wife. And we were standing in line waiting for this thing, and I remember the name of the show was Jokey Okie. It was like karaoke, but with jokes. And basically the person would have to go up, watch a short set of someone like, let's say, Phyllis Diller or whoever, and then basically after seeing the 3-minute clip, basically try to do the same thing that that person did on the film. And so
Good idea.
it is good. It was good.
Produce that.
It went back a long time ago. I remember a couple of the people that were in it. One was Kazumi Kazami, I think is her name, and then the other one was Rick Overton, and the other one was oh man, Mark Pitta. Mark Pitta had some part in it too because he was performing in it. And so, man, I hate when your mic does that thing.
Hey,
But so anyway, so he was in line with us. I didn't know he was behind us. He laughed, and the next thing I knew is that he laughed, and the next thing I knew is I was like, "Oh, that's such a distinctive laugh. I know who it is." And I had pointed at Christine, and I kind of tapped her on her shoulder, and I'm like, behind me, that's Robin Williams." And she goes, "Yeah, I know." She goes, "He's just a person, Paul." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, he's just a person."
always been absolutely cool. I knew her and you 12 years ago, 13 years ago now.
Right.
She hasn't changed much, has she?
No, she's the same person I met back in '01.
Sweet on the ground. She's cool.
Yeah.
You're a little man. I'll reiterate that. Hey, I heard something about what's the real on Robin Williams. Every movie he ever made, he brought in the homeless
Oh yeah.
people in the community as extras, as this, that, and the other thing. He made a place for them in every movie he ever made.
And that's true. He absolutely, and I think it's my mic echoing in your speaker, but yeah, every film he ever made, he hired homeless people to do certain things. He also made sure that the food at the end went to people. Because a lot of movie sets, you know, they have craft services and that food just gets dumped into a trash can. He made sure that they got food. He made sure that certain people had accommodations. Like he did certain things that nobody really knew about, and I don't even think we still don't know the extent of the stuff he did for people. But I mean, I think he got them meals and shelter and uh, stuff beyond the production, and
Right.
so he did a lot of stuff like that for the community. He also hired a lot of friends. Every show or every movie he was on, he always tried to hire within lots of his friends and lots of people that he knew were
I
doing the
know
right
Rick
thing.
Hoover worked a lot of his movies and his shows and what have you.
Yeah, I think they were pretty much almost best friends
Right.
in a lot of ways. I think Robin Williams had a lot of really, really, really close friends, but Rick was definitely one of them.
Mm.
When he chose to perform with someone else, a lot of the time it was with Rick.
Nice. Nice. Loyalty is very important.
It is. That's something we have. You and I have that.
Yes, absolutely. Um, George Grimm and I had that. Just a myriad of folks, and a myriad of folks who have been good to me. Let me just say at the end, I've adjusted to this year, but could not, under any circumstance, have done it without the help of a few people in particular. So I'd like to give a shout out to them. One of them is Carlos Archibald. Alamedans have been wonderful to me in particular. Another person is Eric, who has a bookshop in Alameda called something, and it's I can't think of it right now, but they sell vinyl, they sell books, they sell clothing. It's the most interesting store in Alameda, and it's on Park Street. I'll think of the name probably after we're off. Um, but he has been an incredible help to me. You have been an incredible help to me on my adjustment, and change has been difficult for me over the years. Doable, and
Yeah.
I always come when I get through the change, always happier than I was.
Right.
So it's worth the pain you go through, but you gotta stick by guns and you gotta know what's best for you. And as I say, Tally and I both knew what was best for each other, and that was going our separate ways. So didn't make it easy. It doesn't make it easy, but it's going to be better for both of us. And there you go. But your help has been immeasurable on every level. Uh, if nothing more than just picking up the phone and saying, I've been thinking about you. How the hell are you? Or me picking up the phone to you and getting a positive reaction from we're good for each other in terms of support, and mental support is needed by all of us. So you're much appreciated.
No, I love you too, buddy. You know that. And so, couldn't do this without you, that's for sure. And I need support from y'all. And so it's good to have you along on the ride.
Uh, Review what's going on at your studio.
Well, let me see here. Edge Studios. I guess I'll throw the camera on me. I was playing. I'm always doing something technical. So even right now, I was literally writing down all these silly things like frame rate, GPU, CPU, bit rate. Um, what am I always doing? I'm always trying to improve on what we're doing. I'm sitting here in my home studio, my office at home, because it's the holiday. I'm about to celebrate not only bringing in the new year, but my wife's birthday is on January 1st. So I'm here at home, and I'm even trying to take notes because this hasn't been fired up in I don't know how long. I haven't tried to do a broadcast out of this studio except for the test I did a week ago. With the new computer for like 8 months, 10 months, almost a year because we've been so busy at Edge Studios. Edge Studios has now been there 3 years. It took me a year to get things where I wanted them. And for the last 2 years, we've been improving upon them and making it better and a better experience for everyone that's there. I just wish more people knew that we're there, that utilized our services. You can use services from Edge Studios no matter where you sit in the world. You can use it if you reside in San Francisco or in the Bay Area and drive into Edge Studios and use our brick and mortar building. Or if you reach out to us, we can help you produce things from even your mobile studio like Zig here. That's what he's doing right there. He's sitting in Alameda. I'm sitting in the Central Valley, and our studios are in San Francisco. We can help you create in a positive environment, so positive that it could be your environment. You could dress from here up if you wanted to.
We've been talking about making documentaries, and we have to include
Right. So we do a lot of things at Edge Studios, but we need to start making more educational stuff, more documentaries, more things that help other people, educational. Um, Things of interest. Definitely we make entertaining content, and depending on what entity you're talking about, on what kind of entertainment we're talking about, even people have asked me about your show. You're kind of like the edge of insanity, Zig. At first I would have said you're a sports show, but you're not just a sports show. You're a sports life everything show. Even politics. You talk a fair amount about politics and how things are screwing with us.
to my guests who are sports people primarily about more things than sports. So we give a stage for people to be themselves, or guests to be themselves, which they don't get on most interviews. They don't get on most podcasting. Is wonderful because we could do this on the radio.
Right. No, you're right. You can't do this kind of stuff on the radio. And so that's what we're doing at Edge Studios. We're trying to help people manifest their dream, I guess, is a good way of putting it. If they have a creative idea, we want to help you try to accomplish that.
You already, me notwithstanding, of course, have some terrific people.
We do. And the crew that we have now is, I feel that it's a really strong core. It's a great foundation of shows. And so we have great footing to build on from here. And so I look forward to 2025 and Edge Studios moving forward and doing what we're doing. So.
And I look very much forward to being a part of it. So, thank you for that.
No problem, Zig, and thank you for being a part of it. And again, guys, I know our technical on this show has been a little weird, even my switching back and forth. Realize I'm looking at Zig as I'm talking, but that's okay. We're just doing what we do. So
that's exactly right. We're doing what we do, and I can assure you it's the best we can. And that's a good thing, because there are times we have magical moments on this podcast. With guests, without them, just you and I. Um, it's wonderful. I'm appreciative. And I just want to say Happy New Year to all the family. Um, Comfortably Zoned has become my family. I feel their pain and their happiness. So, thank you again, everybody. Paulie, is there anything you want to add to this extravaganza?
no, just Happy New Year to all the zoners. That's what I want to call you. You're zoners. You're in the zone. I want to say Happy New Year to you and yours. Be safe, have fun, but be safe and have fun. And for myself, my dog over there. Hey, Ace, come here. Come here. There's Ace. Ace, look, there he is.
Very wide.
For myself, the dog, the family, Edge Studios, Zig. We love you guys. Be good to each other. Hug the ones you love. Do those things. I know you want to say something else too, Zig.
I just want to say, have a good day, everybody. And I mean that. Just make sure that you take time in a week to have a really good day. It makes a difference if you can do that. So I hope we add to your having a really good day, and I hope you will subscribe. There's no button right here, but if you would take the time to subscribe to our show on the Comfortably Zoned channel on YouTube, and tell your friends, get the word out.
You heard the man. Tell a friend. Get the word out.
Well,
I just thought I'd add to that.
I'm from New York. I'm a bottom liner. I'm a reductionist. So you're going to get it from me as I see it. Promise you that. And just remember, when we're talking about Trump, too, or anything political, is that the what was my saying? I used to have this great saying
about opinions.
About the needle of fuck it. That's another saying.
The needle of a fuck it. Remember, that's a needle of a fuck it. Okay, cool. I woke up this morning from a message from Facebook that said I had been temporarily banned. And I was like, what? And then realized it wasn't me, it was someone else. Which is, I hope they're okay today. I'll have to go check their page and see if they're putting out. For myself, Zig, thanks, buddy. Happy New Year to you.
All right, signing out, huh?
All right, we'll see you guys next year in the zone.